Okay, I apologize for any lighting issues. I'm really having to cobble things together right now while I try to figure out what I want to do with lighting. But I'm going to carry on regardless because we can't just stop. So anyways, here is a more close-up look of the Chronicles of Destiny fortune cards by Josephine Ellershaw and Emily Ellershaw, and the artwork is by Claudia McKinney. And I did show you this box, but look at that. It's so beautiful. This is in here. Your cards sit here. Your books can sit in here. It looks, like a book. Looks like a hardback book. I mean, it's wonderful. The packaging is spot on. There's absolutely nothing that I can say about the packaging other than that I love it. So I'm going to put this up out of the way so I can look at the other things. And we will get to the cards, and I do think I'm going to have to watch for some glare here because of the way I'm doing the lights, but we will work through it. So this is the back of the cards. It is obviously not reversible, and according to the guidebook, it is not intended to be read reversed. So that's very specifically done for a reason. I'm going to put these aside for just a minute here. This is the guidebook, the Chronic. Ignore all the stickies. I had a good look through it and wanted to make sure I touched on some things. So it's made to look like a leather-bound book. It's the Chronicles of Destiny fortune cards. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's everything about it is just stunning. So we have obviously the title card or the title page. For you, dear seeker, and there's a key and a lock. I just love this. We have acknowledgments. So, Josie, each person was able to do their acknowledgments. But you can see that the paper has been colored to give an aged look to it. It's just beautiful. It really is. Here we have the table of contents. Make it quite easy to find what it is that you need to find. And then we have the introduction, and it really does talk about fables and folklore and the idea of how far back the idea of storytelling just has existed, period, as long as there's been people, in my opinion. And there's a lot of history that goes into that to prove that. And then it talks about alphabets and the written word, and it talks about using prophecy, using books dating way back into this is talking about 5th century BC, and even Socrates was said to use the method of sortes homercae, selecting random sentences from the work of Homer while in prison. The term became known as bibliomancy, so it talks about that. And so then it goes about how they decided and it even mentions, so here, divination with cards is also known as cartomancy, another ancient custom from centuries past that encompasses different traditions, including ordinary playing cards, Lenormand, tarot, and oracle cards. And so then they started their process of trying to make a very balanced system that would, so this would, like as I said before, this is really more of an oracle system than an oracle deck as we have come to know oracle decks. And it does talk about, it took a process of about 2 years, and it kind of goes into that. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to, it's fascinated by it, but I'm trying to keep this moving. It does talk about universal archetypes that show up both in books as well as in, traditional tarot cards, different card systems. And, we're going to be able to see this, even though they were trying to come at things in a fresh light. There are just certain archetypes that are overriding and that those are going to show up. So I quite liked that. It does again discuss the fact that these cards are meant to be read upright, that they have very specifically, and that's one of the things that also drew me to this deck, is that they have very specifically balanced it so that you have cards that are already have that balance of what we would consider upright and reversed meanings are balanced within the deck itself, which I personally also feel with tarot cards. So anyways, if for whatever reason you have cards to turn upside down, you would just, in using it, obviously you can do anything you want, but just in using it the way it was intended, you would just put it back right side up. And it also does talk about there being some timing built in, much like some Lenormand cards, which there's a different section on that. So they discuss that. And it does talk about if you do have some experience in other cartomancy, that's going to obviously help you to kind of click into this easier and more quickly. So this is the page that I read you guys already on before I flipped over. We have a beautiful color image of the card itself, which I particularly like. I understand why people don't do that. However, once I've started to use a deck of cards, when I go to study it, I don't necessarily want to have to go dig for the card or re-put them in order so that I can sit down and work with the guidebook. So I love this feature here. So that they have that there. They have the moral of the story, which would be a keyword section. They have the sort of story that seems to set the mood and the atmosphere, and then they have working with the card itself. Quite a nice amount of going into the symbols that are in the cards and ways in which you might work with it if it turns up. So we have that for each one of the cards. And oh, I just wanted to mention here that, you know, it talks about the seeker in this book a lot, and so that we would be the seeker, the reader. We're coming in to seek information, so the reader would be the seeker. And this is the beautiful guardian of the books. Okay. So we have that. Look, we'll look at the cards later. I don't want to spoil the cards by seeing them small. However, I did want to mention when we get to card number 54, we reach the Mastery card. And this is sort of that, I think, sort of like the world. You kind of feel that sense of integrating, it's how it even says here, integrating what you've learned by applying skills and talents. So that graduation, you've sort of reached that end of completion. And so I quite love that particular card there, just in terms of the meaning. And then it goes into what they call the supporting cast. We have 4 seasonal cards that do have meanings, but they also can have to do with timing. So it does talk about the ways to use this correctly, that you would actually, you know, use the meaning first and then go back for timing. And so, but again, we'll get to timing later. So we do have sort of these seasons, the 4 seasons, and then we have the alternate hero. We have the alternate hero and heroine. And then it gets into the section on reading. It talks about the keywords. I mean, there's just a wealth of information, and you really can. It does say that if you have no experience, that you can come into this, and it does walk you through everything from shuffling, intentions, questions. I really do think a person who has no reading experience could use this book and be able to, you know, learn how to deal with this, how to deal with this card system. Then we get into the section on spreads, and it starts with an open book spread, which is like a 2-card spread, and then it shows a summary spread, which is a 5-card, 6-card spread, sort of a 5 cross with the for or against, you know, kind of cross, like the internal or the cross part of a Celtic cross, I should say. And then we have a card spread if you have 2 options and you kind of need to kind of pick between two of them. We have a relationship spread. We have a sequel spread, which talks about subsequent courses of events, or so if you've made a decision. So if I make this decision, what's going to be the outcome of it? And this sort of gives you that idea, so you can kind of get a look into, okay, if I'm leaning this way, what path is this going to take me down? I quite like this, and I will definitely be using this story spread. That it seems very Lenormand-y. We have a theme, and then we kind of read it as a narrative. So we have that going on there. So then it goes into some examples, and it also talks about timing, that there are certain cards like the Pegasus and Time Flies are about quickness, whereas the Calendar and the Lady Winter have a slower energy. And then you also, of course, have the 4 seasons. It also talks about using numbers. So any card over 13, you would reduce the number paper in order to figure out the weeks within a particular season. So it does really go into how you would use timing in this deck. And then it gives you some examples. And then we have this wonderful section here of keywords, sort of a cheat sheet, so to speak, that has the chapter or the card number, the title, and then the keywords for it. And it goes through all the cards. So I think that's a really great quick way, which I'll kind of be able to use that as we flip through the cards. And then we end, we have bibliography, and then we have about the authors and about the artist. And then we have room here for some notes. So this is a fantastic guidebook. I have nothing but wonderful, positive things to say about this guidebook. It's fantastic. So wanted to cover that. I'm like speed talking. So then we come to the cards themselves, and we have, of course, this beautiful image here. Just speaks to me of like a winter queen or something. I'm sure that there is a specific, once I read the story, I'll probably know who that is, but I haven't done that yet. So we have this beautiful, again, it's not reversible because it's not intended. We have the beautiful gilding. They definitely stick together and they still are clumping. But they even mention that in the book. That's kind of the nature of gilding. And I will say that I had that same problem with the Gilded Reverie, and that is something that will ease up over time. Even of the little bit of shuffling that I did, I can already feel the edges starting to smooth out. So that's just sort of, you need to take the time to do that. So here we have the Enchanted Emporium. And again, this is about learning and study. I'm not going to go over all of the keywords, just kind of getting you the basic idea of the cards. We have the Guardian of the Books. This is about occupation, so it's kind of your work card. Dedicated, talks about dedicated to work. So we have that here, which is quite beautiful. I mean, this is a beautiful card. And again, is at the front of the book. Now look at this hero. I think this is a stunning hero. I was certainly not, now let me pull out these two here while we're at it. Okay, so here we have the hero and the heroine. So 3 and 4 are our male and female significator cards. And so this would be the male seeker or the male or female seeker's partner. Again, if it's 2 women, then you would pull out the other card. And the same thing here. This is be the female seeker or the significant other of the hero in the deck. So these function very much like the Lenormand man and woman cards in a Lenormand deck. So we have these 2 options here, which I think are absolutely beautiful and I will be using. And then you have hero 2 and we have heroine 2. Now he's quite awesome as well. He just looks like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. She's all right. The perspective of that I don't like as much, just in terms as a significator card. I like these 2 better that way, although I could definitely see myself using these as well. But for right now, I'm going to be keeping with these because look at him. I mean, that's quite a delicious example there. So that's what these are. These would be your significator cards. So we have those. All right, gotta stop and point that out. Okay, so then here we have Dreams. I love her. I used to have a roll top desk. So we have this lady asleep at her roll top desk. Future plans and goals and dreams, but also the understanding the need to take action in order to make them in reality. I think that's a beautiful image. Here we have the call. So this is an offer being made to you. An offer being made to you, a proposal or invitation that's going to have you, do something. So again, you can see, and I wouldn't say this is necessarily photo, but it's definitely digital art, digital imaging. I don't know the exact terminology for this style of art. And sometimes it's done very well, which I do think this deck for the most part is done beautifully. Sometimes it can go very, very wrong. Here we have the Whispering Hall. So this is about self-doubt and insecurity, which you can just see how he looks very lack of confidence, being in denial. Here we have the elder, which is can be an elderly person, and it also can be taking advice from, you know, a more mature person. She almost looks like she's blind in one eye. I almost get a Cirrus kind of idea from her, feel from her. Here we have accepting the quest. So this is about contracts, agreements, transactions, commitments, like sort of pledging your oath, like I pledge on the sword. I love that it's a woman. So we have accepting the quest. This is the adventure. So this is all types of new beginnings. This is our new beginning card. Start of something new, a new path in life. I love this. We have books and sort of a ladder going up these giant books, and look at, she's getting ready to walk into a book. I mean, seriously, I cannot even stand how much I love that card. Here we have number 11, which is innocence. So this is children or birth, sort of the embracing life with wonder, you know, just sort of experiencing life through the eyes of a child. We have a girl who's kind of pressing her face into a sunflower. Here we have the light bearer, which is somebody who's shown kindness to you. It's going to be gifts, generosity. So you're getting sort of a gift. Here we have sort of a ballerina here. Now this one's definitely pushing, even though I love the steampunk feel to it for sure. It definitely pushes a little bit of the kind of steampunk romance novel front, which I do believe the artist actually does do book covers, and I think you can definitely see that. But I do think it's cool. It just kind of pushes it for me. So this is about fast time. Time flies, fast moving time frame, things that are happening quickly. Here we have distant shores, which this is sort of the journey, the long, it's like the ship in Lenormand. It's a long journey. You're going to have to kind of get out of your comfort zone, it talks about. So kind of very much the ship feeling. Here we have the lighthouse. Let me turn the pages here on my keywords. Here we have the lighthouse. This is a warning sign. Obviously, I mean, it makes sense with the lighthouse. I love any card that has a lighthouse in it. So yeah, that works for me. Now here we have a sinking ship. So that's what I was saying with, you know, reversals, the energy of the reversals. They've really worked hard with this deck to incorporate those energies within the cards themselves. So here we have the sinking ship. So loss of all kinds, but especially financial loss or difficulty or plans that have failed. So we have that. We have the shore of trials. Obviously, after the sinking ship, we have people washed up on shore. And these are challenging times, difficulties, you know, that kind of thing. Makes sense. The road to nowhere. This is a dead end. There's nowhere for this person to go. Unlike, like, say, the mountain where it's an obstacle, this is sort of really a dead end. It's time to reconsider or find a new route because this road doesn't lead anywhere he can go. Here we have the Pegasus, which is a short journey. So it's a flying visit, like literally forward momentum, going places, speed. It's a fast kind of movement card. There's many magician kind of cards that I just don't like. I think the cheese factor can come into play. I don't even like the magician from the Tarot of the Hidden Realms, and you know how much I love that deck. So this to me definitely has a little bit more of the collage digital imaging style that I don't particularly like, but it definitely works. And this is not the magician, it's the warlock. But this is about delays and hold up, and this is about obstacles. He's going to put illusions and obstacles in your path. We even have sort of a skull there. So this, not my favorite card in the deck, just in terms of that artwork style, but it's very readable. Here we have the Baroness, which is about sort of the false woman. You know, you get that kind of card in some Lenormand and Kipper kind of, actually in the Kipper cards, I think there is a false woman. So underhandedness, false friends, something's not working, or something isn't working in your favor. Jealousy, just all those things that you would think of. Here we have the Masquerade, which is illusionary situations and being careful that things aren't as they seem. People are behind masks, you know, that idea. Here we have the Songbird. It's about feeling caged in. I mean, it's very readable. So I think it's lovely. There's an old poem, like, you know, old medieval-y kind of poem called The Songbird that's quite beautiful. That makes me think of. Here we have the Dragon. This is about worries and anxiety. Clearly she's, you know, feels that looming dragon over the top of her head and kind of has that sense of loomingness over the top of her. So these are about fears that are real or imagined. So you kind of get that Nine of Swords kind of feel from that. This is one of my least favorite cards. There's one other one along with the Magician, because it does have these little pieces just artistically give me that sort of collage or digital art feel that I'm not real fond of, but it's not horrible. Like, I can work with this. Defeat and resignation, feeling spent, letting go. She's kind of, you know, the pages of the book are being burned. Cannot have that business. That's why I don't like it. No. And again, it's not like it's horrid or anything. It's just, you know, it's not particularly my style, but it's not stopping me from loving this deck. Here we have Sorrow, which makes, I don't really think we have to talk about that. Sadness, regret, you know, that kind of thing. Here we have Word on Wing, messages and news, so kind of the rider feel. Here we have the Forest Labyrinth. This is about making a choice, considering your options. She has to decide which way to go, kind of a Two of Swords kind of feel to that. Here we have the Gatekeeper, who unlocks obstacles and secrets. There are doors that are being opened for you idea. This is the other card that I don't... This is probably the one I like the least, because it has that very enchanted map kind of feel to the look of the card, and I just feel, just in terms of look, it just doesn't really go with the rest of the deck for me personally. But in terms of balancing different aspects of a situation or keeping balanced in life, so just kind of balancing on the books. We have a little dog or bunny, and then we have the mouse here. I just don't feel like this resonates with the rest of the deck. This is actually the only card, you know, even of the cards that maybe aren't my favorite, they feel like they fit in with the deck. And this would be out of, and again, this is out of 60 cards. This is the only one that really jumps out to me as just feeling like it doesn't resonate with the rest of the deck. But it's very readable, and certainly I have decks that I absolutely love that have more than one card that doesn't quite work for me. Here we have the Dream Catcher. So this is protection from bad influences, synchronicity at work. You know, we just kind of think of the idea of the Dream Catcher there. Here we have Waterfall. This is about health and well-being, vitality, healing. It's kind of like the tree card in Lenormand. But I like the water that talks about going with the flow. So she's just like floating down, very Lady of Shalott, but she's not in a boat. This is quite collage-y looking, but it makes sense because it's the Fellowship. So this is about friendship and loyalty, people that are reliable, teamwork. I love this top image here. We definitely have this lady with a bow that I love. This is a little bit romancy novel for me style, but I like the card itself. Like, I really like the way that they've chosen to do the Fellowship card. Here we have the Interludes. This is a pause or rest. This is kind of the Four of Swords feeling to it. Pulling your resources together, you know, just taking a break. Here we have the Shooting Star, which is a good omens. You think of that as a good thing. Good luck, good fortune, bright prospects. Here we have Kissed. So this is about love and romance, kind of the heart card, falling in love, deep affection, heartfelt emotions. You can get that all the red energy there. Here we have Polaris, which is something important becoming known to you that provides direction and guidance. I don't see, this is one that the image is pretty. I don't really see the meaning in this card as much, but there aren't very many like that. In fact, this might be the only one. And I haven't sat down and read through them all either, so that can change. Weaver of Words. I love the name of this, and her sitting there writing things down. These are small ideas with big potential. Ideas taking out the power of words, yeah. Resolve, again, a little bit romance novel cover for me, but he looks very determined. He's taking action. He's very courageous in his convictions, according to the keywords, and you can see that. So maybe not my absolutely favorite image, but it's, I can feel that energy quite well. Here we have the Phoenix, which I think is beautiful. This is about rebirth, second chances, revival, kind of Phoenix things. I love this, even though it is very, the style is certainly, that digital style is there. I still love it. I love all this fire down here. I love that she's in the midst of swinging the sword. I love that it's a woman in the midst of swinging the swords. This is conflict, kind of Five of Swords, the arguments, quarrels. I love that. Victory. Makes sense. Triumph, success, achievement, all those things that make sense. Look at that. That's one of my favorite cards also. The Book of Destiny. Destiny is created when you actively pursue it. While fate may present certain circumstances, destiny unfolds once you move towards it. I do like that concept of, this is Chronicles of Destiny. It's not saying we're stuck in a certain path. We actually have to make the movement. So I quite love that. Here we have very much a Chronicles of Narnia feel, which I am not opposed to. So this is about higher powers of authority, officials, law, that kind of rulership sort of ideas. So here we have the Knighthood, which is awards, honors, promotions, recognition. There's a card like this, not the look of this, but the meaning of this, like in the Kipper cards. Holding somebody holding you in esteem because they're going to knight you, obviously. So we have that card there. Here we have treasure. So we have here this woman has found a treasure. This is beautiful. Money, material possessions, usually improvement, finance, something that's you value or you treasure. Makes complete sense. And then we have union. So this is commitment. So this would be kind of like the ring card. Commitment, marriage, celebration, permanency, settled, happy relationships. And I assume that this can also go outside of, romances as well, like the ring. So then here we have number 48. We have bliss, which is obviously happiness, contentment, joy. She's looking very blissful. I think this is a beautiful card. This is calendar. This is a slow time frame, months or even years. So in time frame, it's kind of like the ship in Lenormand. We have slow movement, steady progress, something that's lasting. So that's also that idea of something lasting is also there. This is another one that's not my favorite because I do feel like it pushes that style that I don't particularly like, but I think as a card it works. So we have alchemy. Something ordinary has the potential to turn into something extraordinary. So I'll be interested to also read the story behind this, but just the saturation level and definitely is a bit much for me particular, but it's quite easy to read this. We can see that she's definitely manipulating something and creating, so we get that temperance-y kind of feel out of what she's doing. So I think it's very readable, even though it's not my favorite of the images. And the same thing here. This one's pushing my too much factor. The Butterfly Queen, catalyst for change, brings a major transition and transformation, metamorphosis. So all of that I can see in this card very well. The same, you know, as I was saying with this one, these two may not be favorite cards of mine, but they're quite readable for what they are. And so I can, you know, just, all right, it's all right. Let those two slide. I'm sorry. And again, this is personal preference. It's not that these are not done well, which is not at all what I'm saying. You know, they're beautiful saturation, they're beautiful images and things like that. It's just personally not my style. This is definitely my style. That's absolutely stunning. So here we have the castle, which is like the house card in Lenormand, your home, your castle, property, stability. It's absolutely beautiful image there. I even like this one, and this is kind of pushing even that sort of enchanted map feel, just with the book and the little sparkles coming up from it, but I think it's beautiful, and I love the windmill in the background, so I do quite like this one. This is about reviewing things, taking stock, thinking about the past, because you know you can find the answers there, reflecting on things, so I do quite like that. Here we have the Mastery card that we talked about, which is kind of the final card in terms of the progress of the story. So this is Mastery, having integrated what you have learned and applying those skills. It's a graduation, you kind of completed things. So I think that's a great card. And then we have the 4 season ones. We have a Lady Spring here. We have, this is the most very much photo, you know, looks like a photograph of somebody then with just the manipulation around it. The Lady Summer, I think this one's beautiful. Lady Autumn, and then we have Lady Winter. So there we have all of the cards. I'm going to put these two in because these are 2 that I'm going to keep as the significator cards. And so, you know, think about it. Here we have 58 cards, because I'm leaving 2 out, obviously, but all together we have 60 cards. These are the cards that, you know, aren't my favorite, and this one I can live with. But these, and even this one, this one is more because I don't feel the energy of the card as much. But in terms, you know, these are, you know, these aren't my favorite. I don't really like these all that much, but that's 5 cards out of all these cards. I really thought there would be more. And again, it's not that I absolutely loved every single one of these, but most of them, yes. And this one's, and even these still at least maintain the feel of the deck. This is the only one I feel that stands out. It just doesn't feel like the rest of the deck. So I'm quite pleased, actually. I thought there, because I don't like this style, I thought there would be a lot more cards that I didn't like. So I'm very, very pleased with it. I do feel like I'm going to be able to work with this deck without any problem and just, you know, kind of let it go. And I know I'm not going to start singing. I know some of you think that I might, but I'm not going to. I'm going to zoom back out here. It's not in, out a little bit. Now, they do say in the book, in terms of shuffling, that you probably should not rifle shuffle, and I'm guessing that's the case with any gilded edged card, because you can, you know, obviously have the card breakdown. I will rifle shuffle anyways. I'm sorry to ignore you, authors of the book, but I am a rifle shuffler. I do, like with the Fountain Tarot, do more of this style shuffling than I would normally, but I do always still, because for me, cards, I'm going to use my cards. If I'm not going to use them, then I just might as well not have them. And I don't mind if they get wore down a little bit. I mean, obviously, some better than others, like the Tarot of the Hidden, some of the Llewellyn decks you get a lot of chipping off of. But they do shuffle beautifully, whether they're not, they're supposed to be shuffled that way or not. They do it beautifully. So I just can't help it. I like a good shuffle. I like to feel like it's really getting in there and things are getting mixed in well. It's just me. And yes, it will put a little bit of a bend to it. I just tend to always kind of give it a little bend back, and then sometimes what I'll do is I will shuffle them obviously the opposite way, just to kind of reverse that bend. Obviously it's not going to shuffle as well that way, but that's something else you can do. And you know what I think I did is I just mixed them in. Oh well. Oh well, that's what happens when you have a tripod in front of you. Okay, so I just wanted to do that get a good shuffle in, because I wanted to just kind of lay some of the cards out. I really liked the look of the, I think it was the storyboard card, or the kind of the story card here. We had the 3, and then you had sort of the Whispering Hall as being the main theme of that. So we think about not feeling confident, that lack of confidence being what's going to be the theme of this. And then we would use these to kind of tell us something, that idea of needing a victory. So when you're not feeling confidence, you kind of need a victory. You need something good to be coming your way. You can also look at this card in terms of needing to start to view the world again differently. This is a person who's very dejected, isn't able to kind of approach the world in that same beautiful sense, that a wonder that a child kind of needing to get some of that back, as well as then you obviously have the message here of needing to listen to the people around you, because you're obviously not in a position in which you can really listen to yourself. You're not hearing yourself, and maybe what yourself has to say isn't going to be productive. And so there is that sense of needing to listen to somebody else's voice. So that, again, this is just like throwing those out there. The other spread that I could really see using with this is a Lenormand spread that I love, and I hate that these are mixed up like that. It will drive me nuts. Which obviously these aren't too shuffle, but that's like a 6 card. So where you would lay them out. I love that card. So you would lay them out like this. And you can kind of use as underlying issues here, more issues that are so above and below spread. So things that are up in the conscious decision making, things to do about it, versus what's kind of brewing underneath. You can also look at these 3 cards and look at these 3 cards. That's one way that you can use a 6 card spread in Lenormand. I think that would actually quite work well with this particular deck. So that's another one that I can really see myself using with this deck of cards. Obviously, you can use any spread. But just because we're talking about a Lenormand thing, another thing that I would probably do, and again, it drives me nuts, but I'm not going to pause. I'm going to look here for the card for me. So I'm looking for, and I can see, of course, that's probably going to rub off, because that's probably gilding. And again, I am rifle shuffling them, so I think all that stuff's gonna set. Okay, so here's the heroine. So this is what I'll do even with the Lenormand, is I'll take the 4 before it. If I want to do a 9 card, maybe I want to find her position, because it's all about positioning, and certainly in a story that would be the case. So then I might take the 4 before it and the 4 after it. Still a little sticky. 4 after it, and make my 9 card that way. So we have our 1, 2, 3, and this is not all going to fit in the viewfinder. I will adjust it as we go. 5. So that puts her in the middle. I'm going to move these up and then I'll adjust the lens. That puts her in the middle where she needs to be, here. And then go ahead and do, So this lets us use that positional aspect of, okay, what are the cards that are closest to the significator card, right? And being able to look at things this way. So we can look at past, present, and future, or past, present, and future, depending on how you want to. Generally, you'll do it this way. So you could do past, present, and future, kind of looking at some recognition going on, and the importance of friendship and the things that are around them. Moving into the future, we have that sense of balance. We have the gatekeeper, doors that are going to be opened, but there is that sense of needing to let go of something in order that you're going to be able to take advantage of that. So we have that kind of coming into the future. In the past, we can see where we have sort of that relationship aspect and almost a taking a break. There might be a break in terms of a specific relationship, but we also have taking something that's normal and creating it into something more than it was, perhaps. So this could have to do with this particular relationship in the past that's impacting. So that's another way that you could actually, and I don't know if you can even see the cards too much there, but that's another way I could see of actually using these cards so that I get the best of both worlds, just in terms of how to read this in the way that I'm used to with Lenormand, but also thinking of them, using them as tarot cards in any kind of tarot spread. So there's just there's a lot that you can do with these. I'm really excited to be working with these. Like I said, I expected there to be more. That I'm just going to kind of flip these around while I finish this up. I expected there to be more cards that kind of hit my because again, they're all beautiful. So it's nothing against the artist or even the people, picking the particular images for the deck, because you cannot please everyone. It's simply people's personal style. And I thought there would be more that I'd have a problem with, and there isn't. And I think I'm really excited to be using this deck. So I'm sure you will be seeing, definitely be seeing this on my Instagram and that kind of feeds, because I definitely intend to be using this because I'm very excited about it. So there you have it. This has been a look at the Chronicles of Destiny fortune cards by Josephine Ellershaw, Emily Ellershaw, with artwork by Claudia McKinney. I hope you enjoyed this and have a lovely, lovely day.